All right, who are you and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm Vijaye Raji. I am the founder and CEO of Statsig.
We had to ask.
Of course, thanks for being here.
It's in the script.
Yeah, all right.
So today's been really interesting learning from a bunch of different product leaders and data leaders and experimentation leaders. And one question that we've been asking everyone as they get off stage, which you just did, is what organizations do you look up to? It can be current organizations or historical examples of companies that have shipped product well.
Yeah, my closest example is Facebook. When I first joined in 2011, the thing that blew my mind was how quickly and fast the teams moved and how much of data reliance there was. And so to me, it opened up my eyes and the world in a way that I can't relive. And so the thing about Facebook was there was a lot of humility in product building. There was no one product person deciding this is how we're going to go build. There's a lot of opinions, strong opinions, but they always let data inform those opinions. And so you'll realize a lot of the products that are successful at Facebook started out very small rollouts, usually in very specific countries, and then you learn from it, you see if it's going to work or not, you understand the side effects, and then you will then realize okay, well, now is the product ready to ship to the world. So the big one that I worked on was Marketplace, where Marketplace has these.
Love Marketplace.
Yeah, it's great, right? So
half of David's house is Marketplace items.
2/3 of my house is Marketplace items.
Yeah. So the little information is that I wrote the first code for Marketplace, the first diff that I committed for Marketplace.
You have saved me
I wrote
thousands of dollars.
I mean,
over
of course,
the years.
there's a large team that went off and built it. But before we released Marketplace to the world, we actually tried and tested it in New Zealand. So because you want that network effects to play out and see how things will work, you want the integrity, the pipelines to work really well. So you go test a whole bunch of stuff, and you learn from it. You go change your assumptions, you retry it until it works. And so a lot of successful products you look at today came through a lot of iterations. And I thought that was pretty cool. I think that's the way of developing that kind of software is really, really neat.
Can I ask, what is the smallest shippable version of Marketplace? Like when you say the first diff, what was it?
It was, okay, you won't believe this. What we realized was there was a lot of people already selling on Facebook inside Facebook groups. There will be a group for moms, and then people will post here's.
Of course, yeah.
And that was the emerging behavior. So the first thing we did was nothing more than a composer, the change in a group composer that says you can post a text post or a photo post or a sell or a sale post. That was it. And when you have a sale post, you added, I think, a new field called price. You could pick free or some dollars. And that was the minimal change that we did. And then we started seeing people adopt it. That gave us the confidence that this is good, we're on the right track, and then you add more.
And did you even build a sort of aggregation view component, or was it just newsfeed posts that?
Just the newsfeed posts, just the group. Then the next stage from there was actually marking the group as a for sale group. So we call those commerce groups. And so now in the commerce group, the group looked exactly the same, except when you go to the post, for sale was the default.
The default post,
That's
amazing.
It. Yeah, and you can kind of see how far that one product came, but it starts out with very, very small iterative, small improvement or change in the product, and then you learn, and then you make more, and then before you know, the saying goes you can make revolutionary changes through evolutionary changes. So
I love it. I mean, no company more than Facebook and Meta does that apply to.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you know the geographic testing of features. Did Facebook pioneer that?
Oh,
was anybody doing that before, saying oh, we're going to take New Zealand and we're going to try something there, or we're going to take this geography or that geography and test something there?
I actually don't know, but it's interesting because you have all of that data on every single request, and when you have that, you have the ability to now control who gets what. So I believe that is a prerequisite for somebody to be able to do geographic testing. Facebook is also inherently a network-based product. So in order to test networks, you can't like say, okay, half the people in San Francisco will have the marketplace, half the people won't. It doesn't work. So you need to like pick geographic regions in order to get the kind of network effects.
And part of the reason I ask is we're doing our research to prepare for the Meta episode, and it's come up, and I can't think of any time it's ever been done before. I don't know Google would be the one I would guess maybe would have done it, but I don't know that they did. And to your point, Facebook was the first product that like tautologically to use the product, you had to identify where you live.
Yeah. The other reason why people do geographic rollouts is localization. So before you actually invest in Japanese localization or Spanish localization, you have to pick English-speaking locales to test the product out, and then if it all works out, then you kind of expend the extra energy to like localize. If it doesn't work out, you shut down the product. That's another thing. There were of the many successful products. There were many other products that were tried, and people learn and move on, and then some of the elements will then factor into other products. So yeah.
Can I ask a philosophical question about sort of call it data-driven product development? What places in the chain do you need to introduce gut and opinion?
A lot of places, I think. This is it's a local maxima versus global maxima, right? I often think about this one quote that is misattributed to Mr. Ford, which is like, if it asked people what do they need, they would have said faster horses instead of a car. Every once in a while, you need to make that leap from a faster horse to a car. But once you've gotten to that place, then you definitely need to improve the reliability of the car, the speed of the car, the efficiency of a car. There are so many things that you need to do after you've made that leap. So you do need those leaps every once in a while. You need to actually go from a local maxima to the global maxima. That comes through product intuition, that comes from gut, comes from experience. And yes, those things are extremely valuable. So one does not replace the other. But once you've made that leap, there are so many opportunities for you to make those incremental changes to make that better.
It seems to me like there's a lot of data that gets used to answer the question, how do we make our product better? It seems like there's less data that gets used in forming the initial hypothesis. Like, what product should we make at all?
Yeah.
How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of like where startups are really shining. You have, effectively, if you think about founders, right? You need a special combination of irrational behavior and blind faith. And that blind faith is kind of like, I believe this. I've seen signs of this. The crazy thing is if everyone sees a sign of it, then it's not a startup anymore. So it's not like this one founder with this belief. And so I think you will see that shining through in a lot of startups. I mean, obviously, big companies are also making some of those large leaps. But if you want concentration, you can kind of go and look at the startups.
It's I'm thinking about Snap and Evan Spiegel, which probably coincided with your time at Facebook. And probably that idea of ephemerality was never going to come up within Facebook.
Exactly.
And it had to come from the outside.
Yeah. Now and then you can imagine how much more improvements you can make even within that one leap. And so and that's kind of where Facebook shines.
Yep. And did incredibly well.
Yeah.
As you reflect back on your career to date, what are one or two key moments where you looked at some data and you thought, oh, this is completely different than what I expected, and that altered the trajectory for years for you going forward?
A lot. So actually one good example is when I was leading all of entertainment, video was a large part of that org. And video by nature has, strict bandwidth requirements. So, it's more than text, more than photo. So we went into COVID, and what happened with COVID was everybody stayed home, and what did they consume? You saw Netflix go up, you saw Prime Video go up, Facebook Video and YouTube. We all actually shot up during that period, and it's because people stayed home, watched lots and lots of video. There was a time when some of the countries, I'm talking about in Europe and Latin America, they reached out to Facebook and said Facebook videos are consuming a lot of bandwidth. Our utility services are being now having to like get it throttled because of that. And so please do something about it. And so internally, no, this is not just for Facebook. This happened to in a lot of video platforms. So internally, we knew that every time we need to reduce the quality of video. So if you go from 4K to 1080 to 720, engagement goes down. When engagement goes down, time spent goes down. When time spent goes down, ad dollars go down. So that was internal belief. Like we've tested this many times. We've run experiments. We know for a fact that was the case. And so, but we did the right thing because we we need to lower the ABR, automatic bitrate calculator. We need to lower that from whatever 4K to reduce it to peg it up at 720 or sometimes even 480. We were waiting to see the revenue go down. Turns out actually revenue went up, time spent went up, time watched went up. So none of those kind of aligns with what our conventional wisdom was, data proven conventional wisdom, right? So then
what explanation did you come to?
So we had to dig.
Yeah,
We
dug.
What
the heck is going on here?
And this is one of those things data could not explain. So we had to actually go talk to people, qualitative research. We did a bunch of qualitative research. So it turns out that people have daily bandwidth limits in some of the countries on their plans. And earlier, we were pumping out high, bit rates, which were consuming this bandwidth, and they would actually they'll watch for 2 hours and then they're done because they've used up that particular day's bandwidth. But because we've lowered the automatic bitrate selection, people were watching it longer, and we were not obviously consuming as much bandwidth in one shot. So overall, it turned out to be great. So that was an eye opener for me. It was okay, now it's not even the first order of differential, it's second order. Now you really have okay, the decisions we made based on data, are they still valid?
Right. Because it's not everything you had assumed prior was based on data.
Yes.
It wasn't you just made that up.
Yeah, no, we didn't. It's not intuition based. It's data based. So now you're okay, I have to rethink or redo that and really change conventional wisdom. So now take into account one more factor. I have plenty of stories like that in marketplace. When we go to India, things were very different. And so so data is not always it's a data actually changes in what it informs you.
And it's interesting you highlight something here too. You knew that there was a correlation between dropping the bit rate and revenue staying flat or going up.
Yeah.
You actually didn't know the cause. Just using great instrumentation tools and looking at data, when you stumble onto these surprising insights, you're okay, this tool is still not helpful in telling me why.
Exactly, and then you rely on qualitative analysis, and so that's again another interesting debate that people have. Should we do qualitative analysis or quantitative analysis? And I'm in my mind, those two are not mutually exclusive. You actually some days you have to do the qualitative analysis that gives you insights, deeper insights into things that you didn't know before.
We think about this all the time with episodes. So for example, we release a longer episode.
Yeah.
It gets more downloads.
Yeah.
We sort of think, well, yeah, there's a lot of confounding factors, but it seems like the longer we make episodes, the more people like them. And then we go ask 5 people, we get 5 confirming data points. It's still a pretty flawed system where, okay, those five people told us something.
Right, we don't actually know.
With the bias of we're the people asking.
Yeah.
We have no idea why the other 999,099, why. It's not actually a knowable answer. You just can do your best based on the qualitative and quantitative that you have available to you.
That is where your intuitions, your gut, your experience is going to play a big role there.
Yeah.
Speaking of all this, tell us a little bit about the new products you announced today.
Oh yeah. So we announced 4 new products today. The first one is product analytics on top of Warehouse Native. So if you have a warehouse and you have all of your data coming into warehouse, you can just give us a connection string and then we will do deep and rich analysis on that data without anything being transferred to our data centers, right? So all of that lives in there, and then we're just doing a lot of analysis. That includes metric dimensional cuts, you can do funnel analysis, you can do user journeys, and so on. So that one,
And data just stays where it is.
data just stays where
It's
it
in
is.
Snowflake, it's in wherever, you just...
Yeah, we believe the future is on data warehouse. Future is analytics tools operating on top of warehouse, and that's what we're launching today. So that's one. The second one is pretty cool, which is an ML-based auto tune, which is what we do is like a very simple multi-arm bandit, but underneath it, we put a simple linear regression model, which is constantly learning. So what it's doing is like, it's taking all the user's properties. User property could be like, language or country or gender, age, whatever you choose to provide. And then you have a set of inputs, and we're now able to like match the set of inputs, the one that performs the best for this set of user properties. For example, a headline may perform best in US versus a different headline may perform best in Mexico or India. And so you don't have to do these kind of like experiments. We will automatically show the right ones in the right place. So that's the ML-based auto-tune. The third one is prompt experiments. So prompt experiments is basically like, we see many, because we have a lot of AI companies using Statsig, we see many companies that are like, doing prompt experiments. So what we did was like, we made it easy for you, like just run a prompt experiment, give us a baseline prompt, we can like automatically generate variations for you, and then we'll tell you which of those prompts perform best, and by how much. So all we did was we took exactly the same experimentation backend, exactly the same stats engine, made it easy for you to
AI
run.
prompts
Yeah,
now.
AI prompts.
Amazing.
Yeah, prompt
For a thing that now like 90% of your customers are like, oh, actually we need to use it for prompts.
Right, exactly, right? So that's the third one. And the last one, which I'm really excited about, is infrastructure analytics. So it's in
You
beta.
were telling us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so it's in beta. So what we're doing is we're building agents that will run on your servers and start collecting a lot of ambient information about your infrastructure, your servers, whether it's CPU or memory or bandwidth usage, and all of that comes straight into Statsig, all in one place. So now the cool thing that you can do is like you can set up alerts, obviously. You can look at logs, you can filter logs, and so on and so forth, things that you could do today. The thing that you cannot do today is the causal inference. So if I see an alert, I want to know what caused the alert. That's where the debugging starts. Whereas with Statsig, we know all the infrastructure changes that happen. We can literally tell you this change is causing this alert. And you can run an experiment that way. So we're making that, so now
Because you already have all the product analytics.
Yes.
And now you have infrastructure
We
as
have
well.
infrastructure analytics. We have the experimentation underneath the stats engine. The stats engine is now correlating all of those the changes that you've made in the infrastructure and then the alerts. So for example, if you launched a new version of your ranking engine to 5% of your servers, we know which servers have that. We know which servers are creating the alerts, and then we can tie those two back, which is pretty powerful, I think. And so I'm excited about it. We'll test it for a little while with a few of our customers, and then run through all of our bugs, and then we'll release it.
Amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Amazing.
Vijay,
Congrats.
Awesome.
thanks for having us here today.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.